Hey Pixies, so today we're talking about the complexity of words, and in the same way you can express yourself through words in as little words as you want, or however many words as you want. This video is about words, but it's expressing everything I've been feeling recently, like a narrative, basically, kind of. In the literal sense, this video is words. I'm using words to speak, but it's also about words. But it's also more about it's about more than words. But this video is going to be titled Words, right? So you'll see what I mean. Words are my best friend and greatest enemy. I've been coming up with songs before I could write, since I was a toddler. And just over 2.5 years ago, I started journaling, right? And as someone with anxiety, you wouldn't expect me to love expressing myself through words so much, but it's more about just the way that you do it. Like, when you are talking, right, it's more about just how you're talking than actually talking, because I don't have a problem with words itself. It's how you're letting the words affect you, right? Or who you're talking to, or the environment. I express myself through words, but I'm just doing it in my own way of talking. So if I'm expressing myself through words and writing a song, which is most of the time, a lot of people are confused about how someone with anxiety can do that, and especially like the performing aspect of it. But it's not vulnerable. I'm expressing perfectly everything that I want to say, and to as many people as I want, but not in a way that makes me uncomfortable, because it's not like I'm talking one-on-one with someone, but I'm still getting it out. Once you write it down, and then you have it out, and it's like everything just falls into place for me personally. That's like why I journal. So it's also helped me become more social. I'm not gonna say like my exact situation, but it has been a slow burn, but you start to realize things like about yourself, and then you start becoming more comfortable in like certain social settings, and talking also in the same way can help me write songs. Just the more the more you know, and I'm starting to realize things that I actually already knew, right? So it's really all about perspective. I can't get out of my own head. That's something I knew. If you struggle with something like similar, then you know what I'm talking about. But before, it was I can't get out of my own head. But now, it's like I can't get out of my own head, right? So it's all about how you do it. If you ruminate on something, or think about something that's not useful or not beneficial to you, then you're gonna hate it, obviously. But recently, I like it in here. Like, if you can't get out of a room, you might as well decorate it. Which I realize actually is the case in real life too. I don't know if you guys could see that very well, but I share a room with my brother, and as of right now, it's not like I can get out of sleeping here, but I decorate the spots that I can decorate, right? So, you just start realizing stuff that you already know, and even that in itself, I've realized that I've always done. like, I've had little surreal moments, like, how is this thing real? How does it exist? And that ties into words, because it's like, I start doing with sentences. Like, before, it doesn't have to be just sentences. It could be, like, a character or anything. You just sit there and go, like, wait, how is that real? Like, that doesn't feel real. But when you go through all the things that you could say, you start, worrying about them, or you're dwelling on things that you did say, or you just have to harness that and use it to your advantage, right? Like, before it was, I'm thinking of all the things I could say. Now I'm thinking of all the things I could say, Like, you just do it, honestly. And, with the derealization thing, it's like, oh, a scarecrow is called a scarecrow because it scares crows. It seems so obvious, so simple, but at the same time, it's like, wow, I genuinely never realized that before. Like, I knew that, but I didn't realize it. You're starting to realize things you already knew, and you're putting meaning to everything, and you start just feeling more meaningful, and just like, wow, like, these things, like, they actually matter, Like, stuff that I need to say actually matters. Words have the ability to stick with you for better or for worse. For a better example would be a compliment. For worse, an example would be an insult. Words have the ability to stick with you for better and or for worse. Something you may not want to hear but need to hear. Or, something that hurts you in the moment but is essential for you to grow. And I looked up if there were words for those two things. For the first one, something that you may not want to hear but need to hear, that's actually called a requisite, which I didn't know before until I looked it up. And for the second one, no word came up, but it did say growing pains, and I was like, wow, I actually use that as a metaphor a lot. So it puts value to, what you're saying. Like, you're like, sometimes I'll hear a sentence and I'm like, wow, like, something so simple, I would say that sentence. And then you start to realize you are real. Like, you're a person. It's like, you matter. Don't know the future, but the past keeps getting clearer every day. Words have the ability to stick with you in unexpected ways. That is from the Goldbergs theme song, which is totally random, but I just realized it in a situation where I think I needed that to help me, and it's like, whoa, like, that's so random, but it's helping me for some reason. Just anything can stick with you, honestly. And I think that's what I want. Stick with you in unexpected ways. So, guess that's how I'm summing this up. Pixie, stay fly. You guys are my blood. Never forget to XD.